Welcome back, everyone, to Open Line. Talking about a vote that's coming up July 27th. That's when it's scheduled right now. That would really overhaul how Metro government works. Six changes to the Metro Charter will be voted on. We've gone through the first three. We're going to go through the next three. We have with us Jim Roberts. He is with For Good Government, and he wants these changes. He is one of the primary people behind these changes. And tomorrow night, we will have the other side on, and they have major concerns, and we'll certainly hear from them. But, okay, we've talked about the first three. Then you're talking another thing that this would do is it would put restrictions on giving away publicly owned parks and greenways. Is that right?
Yes, and that's my favorite one. But let me add before, though, this isn't what I want. This is what 27,000 people wanted last year and 14,000 people wanted this year. I was the very last person. I was signature 14,010 because I signed it on my way over. So it's not about me or what I want. I just asked people what did they want, and that's what they said. This number 4 on it, and this is what people are going to vote on, is about preserving our parks and greenways. This is my favorite. This is the one that motivated me to really get involved in this, is that we have been giving away millions, tens of millions of dollars of real estate to developers in this city. We've given away our downtown mall. We gave away the downtown library. We've given away a huge half the land of the fairgrounds. We've gotten to a point where we just keep giving away this city, and we need a charter amendment to protect our parks, our greenways, and our public lands, because clearly the politicians don't have the intestinal fortitude to do it themselves. And so all this says, it doesn't say actually they can't give them away. What it says is you're going to have a high supermajority vote. You're going to have an appraisal. You're going to have public input when you're giving away tens of millions of dollars. Why anyone would be against that is beyond me. I don't even understand why. This idea came out of the E.L. Rose Park down there by Belmont. When Belmont wanted to expand his athletics fields, it took over a huge section of a public park. The citizens sued over it, and they lost their park. Now, nothing against Belmont, but those people deserve to keep their park. And if they could do it in that fairly affluent neighborhood, if they could do it to those people, they could take any land in this city they wanted. I wanted to make it harder. I wanted to protect people's rights to have parks.
Let me go through the next two things, because again, there's 6. We've now gone through 4. Changes in the city's charter. It would impact that, and give sports stadiums back to residents, is what it says. Give sports stadiums back to residents. Can you go over both of those? If this passes, what does this do as far as changing the city charter and sports stadiums?
Well, that's unfortunately another mischaracterization. What this charter amendment says, that if we give away or give inducements to professional sport teams and they come to Nashville and we give them millions of dollars in benefits or tax incentives or land or whatever we give them, and they leave, we have the right to take our property back. That's all it says. So if the Titans decide, we build a multi-billion-dollar stadium for the Titans, they want a new stadium, and then they turn around and leave, then we get our stadium back. The fairgrounds, MLS, we gave away 40 acres to these folks to bring us professional soccer. Wonderful. I love soccer. But if MLS leaves, they move that team away, which they have every right to do. Nashville has no right to keep that team in Nashville. If they move, then why does the property not revert back to the people? Why does it stay in the hands of the entities for 99 years? This says we can get our property back. And I think that's only fair. If we're going to give these inducements, we're expecting to get something from it. And if we don't get the benefit of the bargain, then we should be able to get that property back. The hysteria this is causing, you really can tell who's being funded by sort of out-of-state developers and who's really got their hand and who's got their hands in whose pockets. When you start talking about getting back land that we give away to developers, the screaming is just beyond belief. That's all this does. So I hope MLS stays for 100 years. But if they don't, I want my stadium back.
Now, if this were to pass and MLS left, you can't change an existing contract, right? If this were to pass, would it impact that agreement?
It will. existing contracts will be likely grandfathered in. Of course, we'll have to talk a little bit about this. The reversionary aspects, the way we get stuff back, would have to be done consistent with the Tennessee Constitution. It's not automatic. It's not they have to give it back. It's really if the people want it back. If the metropolitan government says, hey, the MLS left and we're not getting the benefit of the bargain, but if someone else wants to come in, they could also, they can take the stadium back and release it to somebody else. They can lease it to TSU or Vanderbilt, or make it a public arena for events. It gives them that flexibility. Right now, if MLS leaves, the city of Nashville has no control over that property for 75 years for the stadium and 100 years on the mixed-use development. My children's children won't play on that land while it's under Metro's control. My hope is this charter amendment will make it that if they leave, and I'm not saying they leave, I don't want them to leave. I want us to get the benefit. But if they do leave, then we should get our benefits back. Why that's even controversial is again, hard for me to believe. But the people opposed to that, I think it says a lot about them.
And again, but I thought, and you said it would be grandfathered in. If they did leave, that it would affect that deal, or you're saying it would be future deals like that deal?
It will certainly affect any future deals that we enter into. I mean, they can only do so much. I'm not the king of Nashville or something like that. All I can do is give people a chance to vote, and how this applies to existing contracts, that'll probably be something the courts have to determine, but it certainly will apply to future contracts. And who knows what is coming down the pike for us. I mean, all I'm trying to do, and all the people who sign this are trying to do, is protect our public lands. And the land we give away to sports teams is still public land. And we want
let's
it back.
see if we can quickly, and then we're going to take calls. All right, the charter, quickly, can you tell us what that would do?
Oh, that was simply, we saw some real dishonesty from the Metropolitan Council when this ballot initiative came forward. They rushed out immediately and tried to do a second ballot initiative to confuse people. It was designed to confuse people. It was so poorly written and drafted and so intentionally deceptive that the Election Commission voted to keep it off the ballot. We need to stop that sort of nonsense. There are two ways to amend the charter. One is to go through the Metro Council. One is to go through the people. All this says is if the people put forth amendments, that only the people can change those amendments. And if this passes, it will apply only to the 6 amendments that are in this. It will not change anything in the Metro Charter, but it will prevent sort of dirty tricks by the Metro Council. And I would hate to even think they would do that, except they've done it twice in a row. So they've shown that they're willing to do whatever it takes to try to undermine the people's right to vote. And so we're going to put a stop to that.
Okay, so there are the 6. We've talked about all 6 that are going to be on the ballot on July 27th. Now we really will take calls. So there's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. What are your thoughts? We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll take some calls. We'll also talk more about some of the bigger ones of these. Be back right after this.